Hello, welcome to another edition of Speech Mastery. In today's session, we will talk about a significant, even awkward problem that people face when they deliver speeches. Once you get over your stage fright, this is probably the single most important problem that people want to figure out, and that is how and where do I keep my hands? Most of us have trouble finding a place for our hands. I have been there and I do have the trouble every once in a while. Most of us do. But with little practice, you will be able to get over this problem and hold your hands in very professional manners that will make a great impression to the audience. Now, today's speech is not about gestures. It's only about holding our hands. Now, for lack of anything else, for lack of any other ideas, most of us hold our hands near our rib cages. We bring our hands together and we hold them there for the rest of the time we are speaking, which is okay. The only thing is, just don't hold it there all the time. It's okay to have your hands in the rib cage, but just not all the time. You need to have variety. The audience needs some engagement, some entertainment as part of whatever it is that you're trying to do. Now, in speaking parlance, in the speaking industry, this is what we call the T-Rex position. If you look at any picture of a T-Rex, the ancient dinosaur, you will see why. And you don't want to look like a T-Rex when you are speaking. Again, there is nothing wrong with that as long as you don't leave it there all the time. So what you need in that case is a position where you can take your hands when you are not speaking, and what we call as the base position. We need a base position when our hands are not moving. When we are not gesturing, we need a position to hold our hands. So always bring your hands to the base position when you are not gesturing. It is the place where you will bring your hands to rest when you are not using them. There are many base positions that you can adopt. I would recommend you watching the videos of some great speakers and adopt some of the base positions from them. There are a number of positions. And these positions will also change depending upon several factors. Like for an example, what position are you in? Are you delivering the speech standing or sitting? Are you standing behind a podium or are you on an open stage? So these little things will matter a lot and decide what kind of base position you will have to adopt. There are a number of them, but for today's conversation, we will just take one base position, and that is the most common one, is to let your hands hang to the side. The most common base position. Leave it right there. And this is how we are made. We are made to let our hands hang down. So when you are not talking, bring your hands back to the base position. Now, something that I'm going to repeat throughout the entire session is that there are no rules here. We are not saying this is exactly how you should do it. That is not what I'm saying. No rules, but certainly there are best practices. Things you can adopt to make your speeches come out more powerfully and memorably, to make a more powerful impact to your audience. So that said, the most important hand position that I would recommend is the one that you feel very natural with. So do what you feel natural. Whatever is natural is what you do, and what is appropriate. Whatever is appropriate to convey the information that you have on hand is what you will do with your hands. So move them around. Do what feels natural and what feels appropriate. But do know that every word or sentence need not be accompanied with a hand gesture. That will look awkward, that will look distracting, as we will see soon, but then do what you feel natural, do what feels appropriate. Also, every word and sentence need not be accompanied with an action with both the hands. There are times I will recommend just use one of your hands. Your left and right hands don't have to show the same identical position every single time. So when your right hand is showing a gesture, it is okay for your left hand to be hanging down. Same thing vice versa. When your left hand is showing a gesture, your right hand can and should be hanging down. And there are times when both the hands have to work together to show a gesture, and that combination makes for a masterly delivery. And remember, your hands are not attached with a bungee cord. So there is no reason why one hand should pull the other into position when you are delivering a speech. So these are some small best practices. And one other thing is, when you move your hands to gesture, I ideally prefer that it moves within a certain range between your shoulders and your waist. I mean, there are situations where you have to raise your hands above your head, above your shoulders, perfectly all right, or below your waist, that is fine too. But then for most of the time, it will be great if you can move your hands within your shoulder and your waist height. And that way you can speak, look professional, have a masterly controlled delivery while not distracting your audience. That said, we will quickly move on into some of the don'ts, things that you don't do as part of your hand movements. Again, there are only best practices, there are no rules. And the biggest no is don't go crazy with your hand gestures. If you simply go crazy, you are simply going to steal the thunder away from your message. People will go dizzy. They will get distracted looking at your hand gestures. And you don't want them to do that. The focus should be on your message. Everything else is going to complement. Every little thing you do is going to complement the message. So keep your hand movements to a minimum as necessary and as it feels natural. And some other things that you don't do is don't fold your hands. Once in a while, it is all right. But remember, a folded hands is also conveys a defensive closed position. While talking, especially when you are answering Q&A, you don't want to have your hands folded. It conveys a kind of closed, negative, defensive kind of image to the audience, and you don't want to do that. And another position that you don't want to hold is to put your hands in your pockets. It's again a big no-no. Once in a while, it is all right. Some speakers, they put one hand in their pocket while the other hand is in the base position, which is perfectly all right. But then don't leave it in that position for the rest of the time or all the time. Now, I do that quite often. It looks pretty nice when you look at a picture where one of your hands is in the pocket, one of them is in the base position. Looks fabulous. Just that, don't do that all the time. The other position that you don't want to do is don't hold your hands on the hips. Again, once in a while it is okay, but mostly I would say avoid holding your hands on the hips. Shows a very defined, defensive, and sometimes even a challenging posture saying, come on, challenge me, will you? The other position which we don't want to do is what we typically call in the speaking profession as the fig leaf position. Holding your hands together right in front of your groin area, in your hip area. That is something that you don't want to do. Also, holding your hands behind your back, what we typically call the reverse fig leaf position. So you don't want the fig leaf position, you don't want the reverse fig leaf position. So all these are simply pointers to how you need to hold your hands when you're speaking. No rules, best practices. Do what feels natural and do what is appropriate to be able to convey the information. So while it is awkward in the beginning, with little practice, you will be able to master the art of holding your hands and giving a great, masterly, powerful, memorable delivery. Thank you again. Till we meet again. Thank you and goodbye.